Now recording.
There we are.
Never gets old.
Right.
So yeah, you're just basically telling Jason not to buy any furniture. It's just, so when he get a girlfriend to move in, he's like, he won't have to duplicate his stuff.
That was my
I've
idea
lived
since
by
the
myself
beginning.
for like over 5 years now. I have pretty much all the stuff I need.
Like, can you imagine, what would that look like? You bring the girl home on the first day, and then she's like, you have like no furniture. She's like, where's your couch? Where's your bed or anything?
Yeah,
And you're like,
it looks like a freaking, a 40-year-old virgin where he moves all his stuff because he's like embarrassed by it or whatever.
yeah, and then you'll tell her, it's like, oh, I didn't get anything because when you move in, I'm just gonna use all your furniture and shit.
Well, you can make it more romantic. You could say like, I'm leaving room at my place so you can move in, right? But
I
like,
don't think they'll find it that way.
That's such a Bryan thing to say.
Yeah, the first time she goes over to your place, and you're just like, oh yeah, no, I'm just waiting for you to move in.
Yeah, that's
Is this
why.
too soon? Yeah, second date's not good enough for you?
well, the other thing is if you don't have stuff, they might think you're like one of those squatter, like you're squatting in someone's house.
Yes, they would definitely think you would be a squatter.
Yes, there is
Yeah.
many situations where they would think many terrible things if you have no furniture in your place. I don't think there's a good reason other than if you just moved.
All right.
Oh yeah, I guess you could always say that. You could be like, oh, I just moved in.
All right.
you know,
Shall we start?
You wanna
Oh, I
lie?
thought you started.
Yeah. Well, it's the
An
intro.
official intro?
Okay, go for it.
I don't know what happened to Jason's audio. As soon as I started recording, it just sounded shittier.
It's on and off.
It's on and off for you?
Like right now, it's shitty.
I can't
Yeah.
tell.
It's kind of
you-
staticky,
Yeah, it's staticky.
Jason.
Maybe
Fix it.
did this come loose?
Fix it, Jason.
I don't know how.
Well, still staticky.
Let me reconnect to this. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Just exit and come back. Maybe Craig forced him to sound bad.
Oh God. Let's deal with this Craig.
Okay, well, I didn't change anything.
Oh,
but
now you're good. You're good. You're
But
good.
you sound
all I
better,
did was
though.
leave the channel and come back in.
Yeah.
But you sound better.
You sound way better.
I don't know. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen partway through, or else I'll have to leave and go back in.
It's okay. We'll just
Well-
go with the shitty recording if
I'm sure Craig can adapt.
Well, will it have that leaving and entering sound from Discord?
No, it doesn't.
No,
Okay.
because it records each of our voices individually, right?
Yeah,
But
but I
it-
just don't know if it has system sounds.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Even on the OBS, it doesn't.
Okay, then.
All right.
All right,
start
start
it
us
off.
off, Jason.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Verbal Laxative. I'm Jason,
Sinzin.
Bryan.
and we don't have Hassan today, but he does not have any form of illness. No COVIDs. So,
He went to go protest in front of like the U.S. in one of the states, like the Michigan.
one of
Right.
those large gatherings.
Yeah, one of those large gatherings, and he was basically just saying, just spitting on people and demanding that they open up the states.
Even if
again.
he had COVID, it's not like he can record with us.
Yeah, that's true.
You make-
Well, unless he's terribly ill, like hospitalized ill.
oh well, we just tell him that there's no sick pay and he has to work.
there's,
More
no,
like that.
there's no pay whatsoever.
Yeah, I was like, what? Who's getting paid?
Forget sick pay. You don't have regular pay.
Jesus, if we made money off of this, then I'm not seeing any of it.
You're losing money on it. You're paying to get into the game just
Yeah,
for the
that's right.
enjoyment of it.
What kind of enjoyment is this?
Yeah, that's why you know that everything that we say is 100% true because we are beholden to nobody.
But I mean, if anyone's interested in sponsoring us,
We will be
we will
instantly
immediately
beholden.
change our minds. Yep.
I do miss those more honest reviews from smaller creators
Yeah.
because they're not sponsored, they can tell it as it is. But the
So we
challenge
should
is
do more reviews.
Yeah, we should.
What do you
That
want to
would be good.
review? Any movies or? Well, I guess we kind of do talk about movies and books.
We
What-
talk about
I think
movies a
you
lot.
should
We
just
could
cut
talk
out.
about household products.
Mine?
Yeah, well, I think for mine. What did you say? What did you want to review?
I was asking what we would review, but we kind of talk about movies and books and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we usually
we
do
kind of do
entertainment.
reviews. I guess we could do more formal reviews where we give it like a ranking or something, or more format.
Nah.
We could review how countries are handling COVID. Like,
Yeah, who's gonna sponsor us from that? What's the point? What's the
Yeah, the state sponsor us, we'll give them a freaking 10 out of 10. No, they're doing it right, they're getting the economy back up faster than anyone. And
Who needed all these excess people anyways?
well, how about reviews on conspiracy? Like, there's the big one right now is everyone's talking about the North Korean leader being sick. Or
Oh yeah, we
being
can
ill.
talk about that. But you see, you won't exactly get into like a niche with that. You know how many fucking conspiracy theorists there are out there?
True.
Jesus. But let's get into that conspiracy. Proceed.
Yeah, so they use satellite imagery and they kind of follow the pattern of Kim. And I think they had a parade and the guy didn't show up. So people are saying he might be sick and they expanded their hospital and they have this wing, like they have a Kim wing, I guess, where they were seeing him.
I don't even know, when did this rumor start? Where did it even start
About
from?
2 weeks ago, I think.
No, but where did it even start from? Who was the first person that said, hey, what if he's dead?
Yeah.
didn't
People-
South Korea say that he's fine?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like,
But South Korea could be on it, could be in with them,
no, they wouldn't be. But
If
They get
anything,
stuff-
they would be the most against it.
they get stuff wrong sometimes too. But like all intelligence agencies, they get stuff wrong all the time. Like Iraq and stuff like that was pretty bad.
Hey man, that weapon of mass destruction somewhere.
Yeah.
We didn't go to
and-
war for nothing.
Well, no, it was bad because Colin Powell basically just took a bunch of like fucking Tide or whatever in a vial and showed it to them in the UN assembly. Right? It was like fucking baking powder and shit that they just took over. But yeah, they get some stuff wrong sometimes. Like I remember there was years back the South Korean intelligence was saying, oh, so and so, a high ranking member is dead after, there was like some kind of power struggle. And then he shows up alive a couple days later and then everybody's like, oh, well, okay, that didn't age really well.
It's like a whoops.
Yeah. But usually like maybe like 80-70% of the time they get it reasonably right. Just cause they could probably, they're probably more in tune with the Koreanness of all of it. More so than like most other intelligence agencies. But
So is there more to this rumor of Kim Jong where
I don't know. It's just because I think he just had surgery over or something. And then
I guess, why is everyone so, it's like a gossip news kind of thing. Why is everyone so...
it's because they can't, the root of it is they can't get that much information out of North Korea. Right?
But then, I guess it's kind of like paparazzi kind of thing. They're just like, they have a few paparazzi, see kind of something and try to make a scandalous article kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's from the worst source. It's from like journalists, right?
Yeah.
Political journalists who are the worst. Absolutely.
you would hope they would have more reliable intel?
No, they always normally they go throughout the day just eating shit and then just letting it come out again. So whenever they latch onto like a juicy rumor, they get terrible with it. It's
It's terrible, yeah. And I think you make a good point that where did it start and why is it so important? I think that's kind of interesting.
He did go have surgery for something, and then I think the story just kind of blew up because they're like, oh, is he fine? Is he not? Is he in a vegetative state? Is he not? And then the Chinese sent some medical advisors as well, doctors as well, to go to North Korea, right? So so that further feeds into conspiracies and stuff, right?
Do you think they would have built this up as much if it wasn't like COVID-19 going on?
Yes, they would have, because back then they would always go apeshit with these rumors out of North Korea, and then they had a couple before, they thinking that, like, did something happen to him because he didn't show up at a parade. He already did this some years back already, where he didn't show up to some important anniversary events, and then people were speculating whether something happened to him. And then in one video, it looked like he was walking with a limp, and then people were like suspecting that he's like dying or some shit.
He just stubbed his toe.
It'd be really cool if he could do the Prestige thing, where he has a twin brother.
Yeah, there's two of them.
And there's two of them, and they just take turn being the leader.
One gets fat, the other guy has to stuff himself with cheese to get fat.
Pretty much.
That's why
one gets a limp, the
so
other
much.
has to get a limp.
I like how it's sprung a bunch of memes about his sister, though, because they're saying, "Oh, who's going to be next in line?" Right? So they were saying, "Oh, maybe his sister," and then there was a bunch of memes of his sister being basically like the femme fatale, or like, if you ever watch Avatar, the cartoon, The Last Airbender, and then there's that Princess Azula of the Fire Nation in that show. She was pretty ruthless, and they were like photoshopping his sister, Kim Jong Un's sister, as Azula.
Azula. But doesn't Kim Jong has brothers?
Yeah, and there's a funny thing about that too. He has one brother. He has a couple older brothers. One of them actually died in Malaysia or Vietnam or something. And there was a big, that was a big story back then too. You guys didn't hear about it when his brother died?
I just know.
I remember hearing a brother died, but does he have another older brother?
Yeah, he has another one still.
So why wouldn't he have taken the throne?
Because I just know there's a brother that's a pro gamer. Like, he plays StarCraft.
Yeah, I think that's him. That's why he doesn't take the throne, because he doesn't do that shit.
But if he's a StarCraft player, he'd be great at it.
Well, not even StarCraft. The other guys, he just doesn't care about. He's just fucking like a slob or whatever. Like us, right? He would just rather stay at home and play games and enjoy.
Except for life.
Yeah, but like his dad is gone, his brother's gone, and his brother in charge is gone. He should be coming back.
Well, hold on. So his older brother was Kim Jong Nam, I think, and then for a while, he was basically living outside of North Korea. He was living in Macau, I think, for the last, I guess, part of his life. So he was just hanging out in Macau, and then they would always say stuff like, "Oh, why is he hanging out in Macau?" And why does he have a falling out with the rest of his family or whatnot? And then he got assassinated, quote unquote, maybe, who knows, right? He died from poison or something or outside of Macau. So he was traveling, and then people were always speculating like it's because he has like beef with his brother, or he just, I don't know.
Was he in line for the position of power?
Well, no, because by that time, I think Kim Jong Un was already in power by the time. Like, when did Kim Jong? Let's see. When did
I just remember I remember hearing about this a long time ago. I just don't remember if it was before or after.
Yeah, before or after Kim Jong Un became leader. I think he became leader before, and then his brother got, killed later. I think
like Shogi did, kind of like that type of job.
Let me see when he became. I think it was 2016. He became the Supreme People's Ruler, Dear Leader, or is it?
That's a really long title. Supreme People's Ruler, Dear Leader.
Maybe even fucking earlier than that. Yeah, so he became, I remember he became leader before his brother died, and after he became leader, his brother died. So, I don't know. I don't know if it was just by beef or whatever. But his brother died, and he was traveling to, I think it was Malaysia. I don't remember. And then, he got poisoned. So then, that was a big deal. That was like, oh, shit. That was some like Soprano shit going on. But
assassination, man.
yeah, he has another brother though. He has another brother. I think he's in North Korea too, but he doesn't do much.
So he's not a threat.
Yeah. But like the brother that got killed, he didn't really do much either.
Maybe
But
they suspected that he was plotting something.
I don't know. Maybe he fucking like wedgied his Kim Jong Un when he was like a kid or something. He said
He held on to that for so long.
I don't know. Like to me, there wasn't a big chance that he would. I don't know what the threat is, right? Like Kim Jong Un already came into power, right? It's not like his older brother has a bunch of influence if he's living outside the country all this time. So I don't know why he died, but he did. But the reason why, but the reason why his living brother is not likely to be leader is because he doesn't really have the political backing behind him, right? Kim Jong Un, before Kim Jong Il died, his father Kim Jong Il started to include him in a lot of like state activities and stuff. He was grooming him. Well, he was grooming him as his successor, right?
Oh, I see.
So he was making sure that the army will be loyal to him, right?
Yeah.
And have most of the power, most of the officials to, basically be loyal to him as well.
But North Korea, they're kind of like a closed world. So do they believe in political power or do they believe in bloodline?
Of course of course it's both. Like North Korea right now is probably the closest thing you get to like ancient Korea, like Joseon Korea, right? Where it's still basically one family that's king. And then you go down that way. And, and back then there would be a lot of like bloody struggles just for succession, right? From the sons.
Yep.
But, Korea is like one of those countries where it's mostly men that rule, and there's plenty of people that kind of look down on a woman ruling, but that country has been ruled, I guess, in a de facto sense by like women, like as a queen dowager before too, right? So, the one person that they said, what they were speculating that could replace him if he died was his sister. Yeah, his sister, right? And it's not like China where it was like back then it was a big no-no, and when one woman did become emperor, that was like a huge fucking deal, and people thought the world ended. The world turned upside down.
Well, how long did she rule?
She ruled for like her whole life, give or take, right? She like changed the dynasty. It was Empress Wu Zetian, and she basically when her husband died, I forget which one. It was someone after, I think it was the emperor. I forget. It was in the Tang Dynasty. The emperor died, and then through her little machinations, she kind of usurped power and became empress. And then she changed the dynasty name. It used to be Tang, and then she changed it to Zhou for her entire life. And then after she died, sort of. When she died, it kind of reverted back to Tang, right? It was like, yeah.
So her legacy didn't live long. Right?
It didn't really last long, and then there was a lot of people in her court were just kind of like waiting for her to die so they could like transition it back to the previous dynasty name. So, like China is more kind of against having a woman to rule. Korea in the past had a bunch of queens that either ruled behind the scenes or outright, and then I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing because they also have a really hardcore conservative reactionary element back then than now, where they're like, oh no, you can't have so and so rule, it's against tradition or something, right? But then at the same time, it's not that too far fetched for them to have a queen. It's kind of like two sides of a coin. So it's not that far fetched that his sister could be the leader. And it makes more sense, I think, for someone that is with that family to be leader, because that country has been ruled by only one family for so long, I think it'd be even like it would be a bigger shitstorm if someone that wasn't a Kim, like a from Kim Il Sung's lineage, if someone didn't come from that lineage, I think that would be a pretty big shock to their system.
Is Kim Jong Un's sister named Kim? Kim.
Of course.
Kim something Kim.
Kim
Something Kim.
Yeah.
Kim.
Yo something sister. What's his name? It's right at my fingertips.
Attempt on her too.
Maybe. I don't know. Kim Yo Jong. That's her name.
Ah, okay. Well,
assassination tip. If there's any, then it's not something that's like mainstream news.
Who would the people prefer though? Would they prefer the outlaw brother who left the country or the sister? I'm wondering.
I think they would prefer the sister at this point, because
what if it's like a drama where, you know, after Kim Jong Un dies, the foreign brother comes back like Batman, you know.
The foreign brother's dead, buddy.
What? Both of them?
His older brother that was living outside Korea is dead.
Yeah, one of them. But how about the other one?
The other one is probably, you know what? I don't know. Let me see. Kim Jong Un's brother. But either way, if they had to choose between someone that's inside the country and someone that's living outside the country for so long, even if they had the choice at that time, they would usually they would rather prefer someone that lives inside the country.
Because I feel like there's like a Batman story where like Bruce Wayne comes back after being gone for so long to take back his city.
No, it wouldn't be that way at all. Remember, if you think about it, if Batman just left Gotham for most of his life and he would like, there's no connection, right? No one in Gotham would give a shit. Like people, like, you know, he's Batman and he's like fucking Gotham's guardian and whatnot because he lives in Gotham and he's there, right?
Well, I'm talking about like Batman Begins, where Bruce Wayne did leave Gotham for like a long period of time.
Yeah, and then, he came back. No one gives a shit about him until, you know, like he's back, I guess. And then,
but there's not. He was gone for like schooling and stuff. So
if he had a brother that lived in Gotham the whole time, his brother's gonna have way more influence, right?
True.
If Bruce Wayne had fucking, you know, Bob Wayne, that was there the whole time, living off the life, you know, like going to all of Gotham's functions and stuff and being seen in the press and the Gotham press, going to all the events. Fucking they wouldn't give a shit about Bruce Wayne.
I do have an issue with, TV shows that run really long, like Riverdale. And then, you always have these secret characters like pop out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I'm your brother. It's like, what? We never heard you have a brother for like the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, it's just introduced.
I'm not sure that is. It's supposed to be based on freaking Archie comics, so it's like,
so far off.
They're so far off. They're just
so
basically
far
using
off.
the same character names, and that's the only likeness.
Oh, even the actors think the story is ridiculous. Like they're like, oh, I'm a villain, and then I'm in jail, then I come back as a villain. Like
it's like a new type of soap opera.
It is kind of. Yeah, you're right. It is very kind of like the new type of soap opera. Do soap operas still exist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like
probably not
they
as
used to
popular anymore.
Because I remember soap opera played when I was in school. Like you would have to go home really early to catch them. Like they're always played like mid-afternoon kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember if I was like homesick or something during school, it'd just be like tons of different soap operas and crappy daytime like talk shows.
Yeah. There was that period of time when you came home from school and it was from like 4 to whatever, and it's just shit on TV. It's just nothing you want to watch. It's either like Young and the Restless and all that shit, and then it goes straight into and it goes straight into the news.
Well, I think they were targeting stay-home moms. Soap operas, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, because you know, stay-home moms is becoming more of a rarity, right? Because you know, a lot of moms are working, and you know, a lot of kids are going through daycare. So I'm curious if soap opera still has the staying power as it
Well, there's that, and there's also like Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that where they can just watch tons of different things.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
better things too. So
yeah, like movie on demand or TV on demand. Yeah, kind of change the landscape.
Like whatever they want.
Yeah, it's definitely. You don't have to wait for that dead time between, you know, like that between soap operas and the news.
Yeah, when that's all they had as options.
All right, so Kim's brother, that's still alive, Kim Jong Un, he did some political work earlier on, but now he doesn't really do much. It says he doesn't involve himself in politics, leads a quiet life in Pyongyang where he plays guitar in a band.
Oh,
No,
sweet, man. I would love if a grungy band member became the leader of North Korea.
Well, he's not. He looks like he's not. Even if he is, he looks like he's not, and it looks like he is trying very hard to look like he's not vying for leadership.
I think that's just the act. We're just falling for it. He's
I
gonna
wonder if
become
his
the next
band
one.
is any good.
Well,
I think it's too local.
well,
People are kind
he
of
could
forced
probably
to
make
like it.
music and sell it on Apple. Put it on Apple, right?
I wonder if I don't even know what he looks like. What if he's like fucking? What if he's just like some fucking
A mullet. He has a
chick
mullet.
magnet in North Korea? What if he's like a big deal in like the North Korean celebrity scene?
Oh, he's like the kid in North Korea.
Like the only celebrity.
I think they got, I don't know. Nowadays, even North Koreans can get the plastic surgery and shit. So, they're catching up.
Wasn't the Olympics held in North Korea? Pyeongchang?
No, that's in South Korea.
Oh, that was South Korea? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
I think if you're a North Korean and you have the money and resources to get plastic surgery, then you're very likely to be in the top, decimal of a percent.
Yeah, there's definitely a bouge class in North Korea, which is
Oh, there
ironic.
definitely is.
They
But
usually,
everyone else is dying.
yeah, the only place in the world that they can't go to is Korea, but you can find them in China. You can find them going to Europe a lot. They go to Switzerland like a lot. They
Well,
Do
Kim
like-
Jong Un
do
did,
like
right?
snow?
He
yeah,
went to school
Kim Jong
or
Un
something
went
there.
to school in Switzerland, and then he had like undercover agents acting as his parents over
And
there.
he got like addicted to cheese or something from there.
Yeah, that's what they say. He's fat because he eats a lot of cheese.
That was the twin brother that had to fatten up.
I feel like it can't just be cheese. There has to be some type of carb like bread or crackers that
It
goes
doesn't-
with the cheese.
This is, in a way, this is indicative of how good the North Korean intelligence services is. Because you don't even know what the hell's going on to the point where it's like, why is he fat? Is it because of cheese? I don't know.
Maybe it's just genetics. I also don't like their photo. Those the poster that they have that they hang. They have
Well,
that fake smile kind of thing.
oh yeah, it's a very olden days, it's very
Look,
olden
yeah.
days, a poster. It
Mhm.
was very popular back then in the 50s and 60s. And then, yeah. Even like it's like the same style as the World War II posters that you see everywhere, but
Yeah.
but it kind of stays with them, and it kind of grew with them. And then
Mhm.
like their teeth are like sparkling white. Everybody's like smiling,
Yeah.
looking off by an angle into the distance. That's the way to do it.
So, are they protected from COVID because they've always had closed borders?
This is the thing I was thinking about, and then I think it really works well for them in a pandemic situation such as this. I mean, they could probably limit a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah,
One of the
because
very rare situations where they did the best thing possible.
Yeah,
well,
they
their border's been closed since before pandemic happened, right?
but it's not like the thing about North Korea is they do have people that go out in the country, right? Especially from the Chinese side, like they have daily flights from China into North Korea, right? And if
Mhm.
when China got it, I assume that just because there's a lot of interaction, that North Korea should have gotten some as well. But
Mhm.
North Korea's advantage is they can shut everything down so fast, right?
Yeah, they can. They could
And even-
starve out the virus right away.
Yeah, but for me, I would just think about, okay, well, what about like the rich bougie class that, like vacation in Europe all the time? Would they recall them back, or would they tell them to no, stay out for this entire time?
They get locked out.
Right? So, I mean, it works for them that they could just lock all the shit down. They don't have to worry about like, logistics and trade and, like trade relations with other countries and too much, right? Because they lock it down, they lock it down. It's not like they have that much anyways. So,
Yep.
so if they lock it down, it's easy. But I was thinking whether they would recall their people back to the country or whatnot.
Oh, like just how JT in Canada told people to come home.
And also, they got the same problem that I was facing where they're under sanctions, right? And they're, so you see how much it fucked Iran just from being under sanctions. They couldn't get a bunch of supplies they needed to. I imagine that they would kind of be facing the same thing. The only saving grace would be China has a long history of supplying them with stuff like fuel, supplies, whatever, material, right? So I don't know whether that lessened the blow for them or not.
Is there any numbers from North Korea?
No, that's the other thing. Right?
Well, you have to give that voluntarily.
They do talk to the World Health Organization, so the World Health Organization is in contact with them, but there's just no like reported numbers or much of anything. They're not very. They're not very.
They didn't even have ICU for their people.
They do have ICUs, but it would be
probably just for the rich.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for the general public.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea if everyone is able to get medical care. But if it was a universal system over there, they would still be constrained by just because of the lack of material, because they're a closed country and they're under embargo, right? So
yeah,
there's a bunch of drugs. There's a bunch of drugs. There's a bunch of treatments.
So you're saying they won't get the N95 mask or the tests from.
Well, the masks are easy, but what about the treatment? What about like the ventilator? Really hardcore shit. I bet you that they would have a shortage for that.
There's two ways to. One is you save the people, or you stop the virus by having the people not live. They can't spread it; they're dead.
Yeah, people always say like, if you're a bad country, you could just let the virus spread and that'll take care of the problem for you, right? The thing about the virus spreading is it creates more of a problem for you. So it's not like you can just like hide your head under the sand and be like, you know what, let's just do the herd immunity, fuck it, whatever, right? Then people don't want to do that because it turns out that, you can't just ignore it. Even if you wanted to fucking like, for the sake of restarting your economy, you'd rather just some people die rather than shut everything down. Well, that kind of snowballs, right? It's not like something where it's like you can just push it under the rug. You let it run wild, it affects everything. It affects to the point where if you get really fucked by it can do a number on the entire stability of your country, right? So if you're North Korea, if you're one of these like dictatorial countries, you actually it's within your interest to not let this run wild and destabilize your country and then risk yourself getting overthrown.
You say this, but the examples in the world don't seem to follow your ideology. Because if you look at Brazil's leader's a military man, and he's totally letting it run rampant.
Yeah, you didn't let me finish. If you're a democratically elected country, you could probably get away with this. You notice one of the thing is, if you're a Democrat, a lot of the shit is coming from democratically electoral countries, where it's just like, let's let them run wild. You can see, because they're not worried about that shit, even though they possibly should be. They're instead thinking about like, if you can deflect the blame in a way where you can win the election still, that's all you need to do.
Yeah. Well,
right.
One thing, a lot of these countries who are big on herd immunity, they use Sweden as an example. They like to point to Sweden as like, oh look, the Swedes, they're doing it, and their numbers aren't looking too bad.
Their numbers are looking terrible compared to everyone else by them. If I compare it to Norway and Finland and Sweden, I'm sorry, Norway and Finland.
If you compare the Nordic neighbors, they look terrible, but they look fantastic when you put them against like Spain and UK.
And also, they're not exactly letting it run wild. It's just that they're not enforcing like a lockdown. They basically told everybody, they requested everybody to do the social distancing, the lockdowns, and the shutdowns.
It's like a soft social distancing. Yeah, well, you're right. They're not telling everyone to infect everyone. They're not but they're also not enforcing a harder social distancing. They're like one of the more casual social distancer, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then it kind of works because their health system has, I guess, a it's not like their health system is immune from all this, right? If it overwhelms them, then you'll see them shut down so fast, right? They will, instead of asking nicely, they will tell everybody to stay the fuck at home.
But aren't they, because they like to make fun of UK. They're like, oh, UK was on track, following us, and that they totally just 180 on themselves and locked
Well,
down.
they have the advantage that they're not as densely populated as like Spain or the UK.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
UK was
true.
UK was cannibalizing their NHS services for quite a while, right? And then they didn't have that much direction from their leadership either, right? Well, by the time they needed to get stuff done, it was all basically too late. And then everybody is blaming, like the Minister of Health and Boris Johnson and all those guys from just shitting the bed, right? And they're always
it makes sense to blame Boris Johnson. He is the leader, and regardless whether things go right or wrong, you'll get blamed for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, they should definitely blame them because up until up until they were getting hit really hard, their plan was still herd immunity for the longest time, right? And they didn't bother getting prepared at all that much. But you compare that with like Germany, right? Or some of these other countries that did prepare, right? Look at the whole difference. Germany has like almost 10 times the capacity for, like ICU capacity, and their health care was more prepared to kind of meet this to the point where they're not getting fucking overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, Germany is over prepared. Like they have so many ICU beds compared to per capita. It's pretty amazing.
But you can see that they also had some difficulty too because there's that were getting sick. But Germany also has a lot of industrial capacity to make shit, right? So they can get factories to start producing some of the stuff that they need. And it doesn't take as long of a time, and they have like, the production efficiency and stuff like that from having that industrial chain. But like the UK won't have as big of an advantage industrial wise as Germany would have, and they prepared even less than they did. So you can see how they're getting fucked in Europe now, right?
Yeah.
And then in the US, it's purely just because they fuck around and they're a joke, right? Like they should have they have the industrial capacity shit to do to really gear up and fucking prepare for this. They totally didn't. Even now, they don't care. They'd rather just eat each other. Like they'd rather just Republicans and Democrats and, black and white. They'd rather just shit on each other than even do anything that's remotely sensible.
Well, I feel
I don't
like
know if you had an answer to this, but I get a lot of kind of just newsfeed stuff that's saying in the States there's tons of people that are protesting the social distancing, but then there's also a ton of people saying like, oh no, stick with social distancing, stay safe and everything. How much of their population do you think are on each side?
I don't know, but I think the majority.
Would that be like a trend based on like red state, blue state?
It is in a way because most of the protests that you saw were a lot of them were in the blue, were in states where they had a Democratic governor instead of a Republican governor. So it is the protests itself were very partisan.
But isn't it also like very ironic?
Yes, it is.
So how stupid? I don't know.
It is stupid. It is. It's basically they're not really doing the protest itself. A big element of it wasn't just because people were, it wasn't purely for like coronavirus grievances and stuff. Some of it was just basically look at what our like our socialist democratic governor commie piece of shit is doing to us by ordering lockdowns. This is against the Constitution. It's against my freedom as an
Well, I think
American. And
one of the issue I think is that they need to earn a living. Like their stores and their livelihood is being decimated, and they're just not being assisted well, right?
yeah,
Like the money that Trump is promising keeps getting delayed for like the dumbest thing, like having his signature on it or things like that.
yeah, you know what though? Because the U.S. they're always in this fucking tug of war between these different factions in politics. Him putting his name on the check might actually help him, because when people receive those checks, the majority of them will associate it basically with, oh, here's Donald Trump sending a check to you.
Yeah.
That's how silly it is that it's enough to actually be, that part might be advantageous.
Well, it seems like he needs help, right? Because a couple of podcasts ago, we were talking that Trump's numbers, he was doing well in the polls, and recently
compared to
in the
Joe.
news they're saying that Joe is doing better now and that his polls are dropping.
As long as he doesn't show his face or say anything, yeah, Joe can maintain.
Joe could win by default.
Well, not by default, because he still has to show up and say something before.
Get a work weekend at Bernie's kind of thing where he's dead, but they just kind of use him as a puppet.
Yeah, I mean, remember poll numbers. It can always go either way, right? Like these poll numbers are always notorious when it comes to Trump, because it turns out he's a fucking wild card in the very sense of it.
Yeah. He rewritten the rules.
So it's very possible he could get shit on at the elections. It's also very possible.
Rigged.
It's also very possible that he will win. Like, both are big possibilities.
I'm sure if Trump loses, it was rigged against him.
No, if he loses, it's because like 1 million people died from coronavirus. This is the one thing that is really eating away at his chances. But the protests, the way they're handling coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the face of it. He, regardless of like how many levels also simultaneously failed along with him, he's the face of it, right? If something's going wrong and he says something stupid, boom, right? Like, easy person to pin most of your anger on. But with the protests in a lot of the states, there were a lot of blue states that had protests, and it was an organized thing. Like, it's a lot of these, like right, conservative groups, they were basically organizing a date where everybody's going to go protest out in each state, right? They had
were also causing gridlock. So
they had a date for each state, and like come out to City Hall, come out to the fucking legislature on this date, and then we'll protest and shit like that. So in a way, they're feeding on people's like frustrations, because like you said, there's not enough. The government's not supporting them during this lockdown, right? So if you depended on your business to live and your business is shut down right now, then you're pissed off because all you get is like a $1,200 check. Then you'd be mad. But the organized part was mostly came out from an organization, a collective organization from a bunch of conservative groups to go protest in democratic states. And, see, the thing is, like, if they just did a little bit better, like, as supporting people during this time, you could have avoided, it's America, they all always do stupid things and bring their guns to it anyways. But you could have probably lessened the severity of why they would come out to protest. But in the end, like I said, they're Americans. They're gonna come out and protest this shit. They're gonna shoot guns at a tornado, right? They're gonna come out and do this.
Oh no, my favorite was when there was a tornado. I think it was like Hurricane Harvey or one of the ones coming to states, and Trump was saying we should just nuke the hurricane. That's how we get rid of it. It's a very American answer.
Yeah, we
talked about that, right?
Yeah, that was a couple episodes back. Well, that's the American mentality, right? And then,
well, it's definitely the American mentality, because like think of Armageddon. What was their first plan? It was to nuke the asteroid.
Yeah, it's very funny to watch. It's like watching like a real life version and a way better version of SNL. You can't make this shit up. Like the president goes on to Twitter and tells people to liberate those states, basically telling the protesters to go and fucking protest against the lockdown. And then they show up and they have guns. And it's like, why? Why do you need to bring like guns to protest this? Like before you would see them and they would say, oh, you know, this to protect ourselves against, I don't know, counter protesters like Antifa or whatever, right? Like, well, who is the counter protest? Like, why? Like, what is the point? Like this, at this point it's just, in America, it's almost as ubiquitous as a protest sign, right? Like, yeah, if people expect you, it's not an odd thing to show up at a protest with a sign. People expect that. But America, I guess they expect to also show up with guns now as well.
Well, it's like the patriarch, you know, you gotta show your pride.
But why?
With a
Yo,
gun.
who are you gonna shoot?
Well, when you think of America, like what is very American? Guns, a bald eagle, the American flag, you know. It's like the people they probably come from Reddit, like I love America, right? With MURICA.
Yeah, but that's more of a meme.
Why don't you bring all the
You kind of
other?
use that to make fun of them.
Why don't they bring all the other Americana stuff then too, huh? Why don't they bring like fucking apple pie and fucking like McDonald's
Yeah.
and shit?
Yeah,
Right?
apple pie, KFC, Taco Bell, very American.
Right? You get the American flag, you get the guns. Yeah, of course. But what's all the other? If it was just about like Americana, then where's all the other fucking symbols of Americana?
An obese man.
they have that.
Yeah,
Damn, they thought of everything.
No, they bring that. Yeah, of course.
they definitely have those. Yeah, certainly.
I saw in one of the protests, it was like at the head of the protest, it was a guy that was dressed in like the 17th century like wig and the fucking coat and stuff, and he's doing the snare drum and stuff. And I'm like, man, that is the symbol of what they that is a symbol of America as well, I guess.
Like the colonial kind of
yeah,
look?
the colonial wear.
Oh man, he should
That
have
was
the flautist with him or whatever.
It's like
He was
red
dressed
shirts
in
are
that.
coming.
Yeah, he was dressed as that, and he was doing the snare drum, just leading one of the protests.
That's cool,
man,
man.
genius.
That's some American traditional culture right there.
Did
Imagine
you
if
guys-
The image itself kind of looks British to me, but you know, whatever. Everyone knows what they're going for.
it has to be specifically a blue coat. It can't be red. Imagine if they had that tradition, the same as like a lot of Asian countries where when you get married, you wear like the old traditional outfit. Imagine
You're talking about the red and gold.
yeah, well, like, yeah, or
Outfit?
like in Japan, you know, like you wear like a wedding kimono. In Korea, you wear like wedding hanbok. And then in China, you wear like a wedding, hanfu, right? And then it's all traditional and all robes and stuff. Imagine in America, it becomes like an American wedding tradition to dress up as like a 17th century, fucking Minutemen revolutionary. Get the wig and the triangular hat and everything.
For those freaking pantaloons.
Yeah, the pantaloon. And then
It's a
people,
good look.
when they go into America, you can take pictures in those costumes too, in front of landmarks.
They should do that. Oh man, that'd be so good.
Oh, man, you know what? You should just think about starting something like this.
I don't think I have the pull to start something like that.
But
No influence.
All you gotta do is wear the pantaloons.
I don't think I've ever seen an Asian person wear any of those clothing.
That's why you'll be the first. You'll be the pioneer, and that's why it'll take off.
Stupid.
In Asia, like Hong Kong, during in the what do you call courtroom, don't they wear those British wigs?
Yeah, but that's just because they're that's a stupid British whatever fucking thing. It looks ridiculous.
It does really look ridiculous. Yeah, I always really confused when I watch Chinese drama that my mom watches,
Yeah,
and they're in courtrooms and they wear those wigs.
the wigs
was
too.
Yeah, the wigs. Yeah,
That's the stupidest part, because pretty much almost every country that was in the Commonwealth, they don't even do that shit anymore. And it was basically, oh, how long can you last, right? Like
Mhm.
once they left the Commonwealth, a lot of countries still wore the wigs. for the judges, and then it was just like a race to see which ones will abandon this stupid fucking look, and who's gonna last the longest.
I mean, it's just a look. Why do they put so much, or why do they continue doing such a stupid thing?
They're putting like power into like this institution. To them it feels like a symbol of an institution now, right? Like fucking like if you don't wear the wigs, you're not symbolizing fucking justice anymore. You gotta wear the wigs. You gotta look like you're from the fucking 17th century, or else it's not legit.
Man, it's stupid. Just like freaking work clothes. The idea that's outdated. Who cares?
Yeah, but even the work clothes is modern. Wearing pantaloons, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's stupid. Just let us wear whatever the hell we want.
It should. Well, if you're in one of those new age, the fucking tech industries that are new, you wear whatever. You come to work wherever you want to do.
No, they don't have an official one, but essentially all developers in like the Silicon Valley, there's a look to them. There's usually a Patagonian vest, and it's usually
It's a
blue
freaking
jeans.
hipster look.
And
Yeah,
it's
but
like
is it an actual dress code?
It's not
Or
a
is
dress
that
code,
just what you see
Exactly.
people wearing?
but
Or
that's what they all
stereotyping?
wear. Like even Jeff Bezos wears a Patagonian vest.
Yeah, but fucking it's not his dress code.
It's just
Unless
what
they
they
make
wear.
it their dress code.
I mean, like also in Silicon Valley, everyone drives Prius because they're
Well,
all
that might be going more
pretentious.
towards Tesla nowadays.
But
Prius is more of a, I don't know, early 2000s kind of thing.
That's
no.
more.
Prius is very popular in California. I saw them all the time.
That's just more of a herd mentality thing, though, right?
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
all jumping aboard that hybrid freaking wagon.
exactly.
I
I mean, like who's wearing like powdered wigs and pantaloons, right? There's no herd mentality behind that.
Well, speaking of things that are going out of style, remember cars? What's the one where you have the gear shift? What's that called? Manual
Yeah,
driving?
yeah.
That's going out of style.
That's been going on sale
Yes.
for a long time, but it has a big following. Like, I don't want to say cult following because that's not quite correct, but a lot of people that are loyal to driving standard.
Stick
They-
loyalists.
Yeah, it is. They really
Yeah,
are.
but like, but from what I heard, is like automatic is becoming so advanced that it's very comparable to people who drive manual, right?
Yeah, no. Performance wise, nowadays, pretty much all the high performance cars, they're not using fucking stick.
Like,
Their transmission is so advanced and so much faster than a human operated stick can ever do now.
Because
There's
what do
no
you
point.
what do you do when you're a person who loves manual and you want to drive an electric car? It's not like they're gonna add a stick to it.
You're
'cause
fucked.
There's no gear.
There's no gear.
Well, they made a bunch of cars that are automatic, but they have the option to have the gear shift, but you don't clutch.
No, that's
Which is kinda
the
weird.
whole thing. Like, yeah, you can all the automatics made nowadays, as long as you're like a semi decent car, you can manually, switch to gears, but it's not like it's completely different from the clutch and stick thing, right? It clutches and does all that shit for you. Anyways, you're just selecting which gear you wanna drive it. And
Yeah, but those ones that are automatic, it's just like a button for up or down, right? It's not
exactly.
actual-
It's like
Yeah.
the paddle shifts you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
like,
they
It's
have
on
that,
your-
or they have a button on the actual, what you call it, the stick itself only has a couple buttons up and
Wait,
Yeah,
down.
then isn't that like an arcade game where you're just pressing buttons to
pretty much
shift?
like it's like the initial DR arcades where
Yeah, it's like the
forward,
initial
back,
arcade.
forward, back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like that, but more advanced now. Like instead, it's just a switch now,
Yeah.
right?
Now that you mentioned the initial D game, I don't remember there being a clutch either, right?
But yeah, there's no clutch for but it's very different. If the manual car with the clutch and every feel of it, it's very different. And
Oh
even,
yeah, certainly.
yeah, and even there's like there would be techniques to shift shift, downshift, upshift, whatever fast that there's after this it's all going to be forgotten knowledge and it'll be like the floppy disk.
Well, no, they'll still have it like the race car sports. What do you call it? Like FIFA? No, not FIFA.
NASCAR?
NASCAR. Yeah, they'll still have
Formula One, one of those.
Formula One. They'll probably still have manual driving, right?
I don't know, but like for everyone, like for not just race car drivers, people that drive manual cars are like and are enthusiasts and shit and all that. There's gonna be a whole bunch of this. It's just gonna go the way of the floppy disk, and then
Yeah, but it's been going out of style for a long time now.
yes,
It's not quite as immediate as the floppy disk.
Well, okay, floppy disk is interesting because for the younger generation doesn't even know it's a floppy disk. They just call it the save button. Like if you have
Yeah.
a T-shirt with a floppy disk on it, they'll call it a save button. Like they don't even know it's called a floppy disk anymore. That's how
yeah,
extinct
exactly.
it's becoming.
And then gear won't be a thing. And when you describe to someone about like downshifting or upshifting, they won't even know what.
Yeah, because at that time it'll be electric cars, and there are no gears in electric cars at that point.
I have a friend
the
that
fuck
still drives a
you're
manual.
talking about anymore. Yeah,
But
it's not going
he
to
only
be kind
says,
of meaningful
or I asked
clutch
him
for
once,
them.
and he just
Yeah,
says, it's just more fun to drive that way. There's no actual
there's a
efficient
sort of
reason
there's
to
a sort
it.
of a charm and allure. It is fun. I know, I totally know. I sometimes miss it as well. It's just, you get sort of a satisfaction from driving it and from shifting.
Yeah, I guess you get more
for
of
anime,
being in control of it.
For
Yeah,
anime, it definitely makes it more exciting if they're shifting. Like, can you imagine them just racing with automatic? just holding the wheel.
yeah, and then for people that are like really want that make a big deal out of it, yeah, there is a skill to it as well, right? Like, if you are like one of those fucking people that are serious about it and race it, there are techniques and skills to shift to shift really fast, and and that actually kind of affects, like whether you could win a race or not. But all of that is completely obsolete with each new car, right? There's no way that a person can outshift and be more efficient than the fucking computer and the automatic, like drivetrain system of these cars nowadays. And then with Tesla, you don't even have gears. So you can just go from like fucking 0 to 100 just on one fucking breath already.
Yeah. Like, I think, gear shifting is going to be harder to buy than electric cars at some point. There's going to be such an antique type of
I
item
think,
that
yeah.
you have to like custom make it. Like
20 years
to
from
order
now,
a car.
yeah, 20 years from now, you're gonna get like you're gonna get Bezos paying like $1 million just to buy an old time car with a fucking gearbox and a clutch and everything. Cause then even 50 years from now, maybe 70 years when nobody knows how to make that shit anymore, they have to like machine out the parts if you wanted to build a manual car.
I mean, I think people already do that for custom made cars and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if
such a
you're
neat
driving
thing.
a classic car.
Oh yeah.
Like you'd have to make yourself some of the parts there's no spares anymore.
Yeah, I think I saw people 3D printing car parts and stuff. I don't know if it's cheaper that way than actually just buying the part, but
Well,
hey,
I
if
think
it
3D
works.
printing makes sense when the part doesn't exist and you need to create it yourself. Or it's so like you can't find it anymore. That makes sense.
Or also you have to have a really really good 3D printer and materials too, because you don't want to make your brakes out of fucking paper.
Plastic. Make a freaking gear out of it.
Yeah,
Just gets
it's like,
crushed.
You're like, yeah, it's always so dicey when it goes from third gear to fourth gear because it's just this plastic piece.
Yeah, no, and it's old technology. Like that shit where you just see the RPM, like gear shifting at the RPMs. That's old technology. You're not gonna have that shit going forward. It's gonna be like the cars nowadays is more closer to like how a jet accelerates than how the car has to change gears and shit. Especially with electric power, man. Like it's just like basically your throttle, I think. Like it's just good. There's no gear shifting. It just goes straight.
Yeah, there's no gear shifting. There's no transition. The power just transfers right away.
Yeah, that's all.
Crazy.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
How long do you
power.
think until you switch to an electric car?
When it gets cheaper, if I could buy one for cheap, I'll go to electric, no problem.
It is starting to get cheaper.
I think I would love it if we don't even need to buy electric cars. They just drive by themselves, and it's just the government owns the cars, and you can just rent them.
Oh, that's what you mean. So not.
I can see that. I can see that in really dense cities. But well, not even like.
No, it'd
why
take
would they
very
have
long
that?
time to implement that.
Yeah, why would they have that instead of just
You'd have
mass
to get
transit?
everyone to switch.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, you probably still want your own car in most of these cities. That that need driving every day. You
Well,
probably
this is
still want your
this is
own
a
car.
North American mentality, right? Because if in Europe or even in Asia, most people don't have cars because they just
Yeah,
take
but
public
in Asia,
transit.
like especially if you think about a place like all those Asians, Japan, Tokyo, Beijing, Seoul and stuff, you don't have to go all over the place of that massive big fucking city to go where you want. You can just live in your little whatever district. You have everything around there. Your work, I guess, whatever restaurants you have, or whatever gyms you need to go within walking distance around you, or at least near every transit point, you'll get all of the things you ever really need in your life.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why like New York and those kind of cities, they call it kind of like you don't have to drive or you don't need a license to get around.
It's very rare that you ever need to leave to even go to other parts of the cities to get something. You're not going to get that in most North American cities, so you need a car to get to these places.
No, that's true. Like when you're talking about denser ones in dating applications, when they talk about Tinder and how you set your profile, in denser city you have to reduce your availability range, because if you make it too big, then you're gonna get too many hits, or people like too far from you aren't gonna travel to meet you.
Yeah,
like you say.
Yeah.
Such a freaking stupid problem to have. Too many hits. God damn it. Freaking attractive people and their freaking first world problems.
Man, just change your range to the entire globe. You're gonna get some...
Yeah, I'll go anywhere.
Azerbaijan, no
my
problem.
love has no bounds. You should just.
I will find a way.
Somaliland, eh?
You will be the next person on 90 Day Fiance.
What would it take for you to go to like a place like Somaliland or Somalia or, like fucking those places, to go on a date there?
I would need an immense amount of money to be able to do so, which I do not have.
What if the Prince of Alibaba pays for you?
Okay, sure. As long as there's also assurance that I won't die.
They won't be able to insure that.
They'll tell you they can insure it.
That's one of the big buttons that, kind of influences that decision a lot.
You get the hottest date. She'll pay for everything. She's super rich too. The only problem is you're going to have to go to like Yemen, war-torn, blockaded Yemen.
I mean, if it's assured, then there could be a chance.
You would go. Interesting. Actually, this reminds me of that recent movie that came on Netflix, Extraction.
Oh, I started that movie. I didn't finish it.
Yeah, it's by the creators. It's by the creators of Avengers. The stuntman of Avengers made this movie, I think. Oh, not a stuntman. The stunt coordinator made this movie.
It's Chris Hemsworth in the movie, and then set India and Bangladesh, and it's basically him. It's him. He's like a former special ops sort of dude, but he's doing like the kind of work where he's he's got hired to rescue a drug dealer.
Oh yeah, the actor is
who got kidnapped by a rival drug dealer.
Chris Hemsworth.
And yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Oh, it got cut out. Yeah, so it's Chris Hemsworth. He's a former fucking military guy, and it's an action movie. He's hired to go save a drug dealer's son.
It's kind of like people compare it to John Wick. It's purely like minimal story, mostly action. But
okay,
the camera
so I have
work.
To ask this question before we go further. Bryan, have you actually seen the movie?
I've seen that.
Okay.
And
you can continue.
It's mostly like I watch it for mostly the camera work. Like they have some really cool stunts where the camera goes into places, and it's almost like a video game movie. Because you know how like the camera kind of follows in like the most intense actions, like behind a car and stuff.
Yeah.
They do similar shots, and it's like, oh, this is really impressive. Like when you think about where the camera is, it's kind of impressive how they get the shots.
Well, the action was pretty good because I only saw up to like the first big fight scene where they are in that room. First
Yeah,
rescues the kid.
yeah, that one's
That
good.
was
That one's good.
that was already a pretty good fight scene. I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah, because that goes onto the streets later. And
yeah. Well, yeah, I haven't
so,
gotten that far yet, but
mhm.
yeah. So it's pretty good. If it's an action movie, I'm you know I would finish it, no problem. I just have
Yeah,
to.
it's also produced by the Russo brothers. So and they're the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
who wrote the Avengers. But
yeah.
like
Avengers.
very minimal story. Like you wouldn't
It's
want
good.
to do a deep dive into
Action scenes are
characters.
good. So far, from what
Yeah,
I can see so far, it's action scenes are good.
yeah.
I'll probably check
Other
it out
than
at
that,
some point.
it's okay. I don't know. It's all right.
Wait, what? How did we get into this again?
Oh, we're talking about Yemen and war-torn countries. Extraction reminds me of that.
Yeah, except none of those countries that they were in are. It's not like Dhaka is war torn right now. I would fucking want to see if they ever make even just a documentary that they can go inside Yemen and just take a look at all that shit. I would want to see it. You can see what like fucking if you ever remember those times in Game of Thrones where you're like, oh man, what did the sack of King's Landing look like back then during Robert Baratheon's rebellion? Fucking, you could probably go to Yemen and see what's the closest thing in the modern world that looks like that right now.
I don't know if that's a big selling point for people to visit.
Not to visit, no, hell no. I'm not gonna go there. I want other people to go there.
No, that's what I mean. That's not a selling point for other people to go there either.
Well, you see, this is when those like war journalists would actually do their jobs, right? That they always say that they want to go to the world's most dangerous places to shoot all this stuff, but very rarely you get people to actually go and do this. And the few people that do, you know, like fucking, they're probably like a handful of people that have enough balls to do it.
You need a Nathan Drake kind of person to do that.
Yeah.
But
Except,
he's
you know,
a treasure hunter.
And also you can restart every time you die.
That's why at the end of the game, yeah, but like the way the story plays out, you actually never die, right? You die, but then they don't count that part because you redo it, and it's almost like what's that movie with Tom Cruise where he kept dying and just came back to life and restarted the game?
Edge of Tomorrow or something.
Yeah,
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, it's like that. That was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, he's coming out of Top Gun 2.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're doing that. It sounds so strange to do that.
Man, that guy's amazing for like his age to do the type of movies.
Yeah, and apparently, like, they shot the scenes where he was actually, him and the other actors were in F-18s, and they were, so then when they got shot off the catapult and stuff, and when they do the high G turns, that's all them. Like, you can see their faces getting compressed by the G-forces.
Like, Tom Cruise is a super messed up guy, but when it comes to acting, he goes all in. Like,
he's got the action chops.
Stunts. Yeah, he does like stuff. Mission Impossible movies. He does a lot of those real stunts.
What was the recent one with Superman? Henry Cavill. That one was really good.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's different stuff, right? Most of that stuff CGI. The thing you can say about Tom Cruise and his crazy Scientology brain is at least he's crazy enough to want to do these stunts. You know the Mission Impossible one where he's like hanging from the side of the airplane? He fucking did that in real life.
Yeah. And there was the part where he jumps off a plane. They actually did that too. They had a cameraman actually jump off the plane before him, filming upwards at him. When
that guy fucking does these things. Like, it's insane. Like, it's not CGI. He did those things. When he was hanging outside the plane, he had to wear like contact lenses.
It was CGI for his partner, Henry Cavill. He didn't jump off the plane.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he had a double that did for him. He just waited for Tom Cruise on the ground.
But yeah, Tom Cruise does a lot of those real stunts, which is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It must pay to be like one of the top guys in Scientology because they're feeding you something to stay that healthy and that like fucking robust at his age, and to still go in.
Tom Cruise is the top guy at Scientology. He's the face of it. They'll do whatever the hell they want to please him.
All the fetus brains in the world, they will feed it to him.
Is he still with Katie Holmes? Is she?
No,
they've been split for a very long time.
Oh, really? Who's his new love of his life?
I don't know,
Some other
anyone that
hot chick. I don't know.
anyone they give to him as tribute, apparently.
I see.
This might
Oh,
also
okay.
be a long time ago, but Katie Holmes was with Jamie Foxx for some time after, so I don't know if they're
Ooh,
still together.
tabloid.
Tabloid.
That's something we don't talk about enough. Tabloids.
Yeah, because it's trash, man. Actually, you know
Well,
what? We do talk about tabloids. We talk about
We
news.
talk about like anything that's of interest.
Yeah, and the news are basically trash tabloids. We do talk about
it is.
tabloids all
Yeah,
the
I
time.
was gonna say news is basically trash tabloids at this point.
Basically is with the all these different types of trash, politicians and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I love the. So what's hurting Trump in the polls? Is it him talking about the injections, or
Fucking
is
is
it him?
everything, man. Like,
It's
you know, the
just being Trump.
polls, yeah. If people are, especially political pundits, they're obsessed with polls. They always like,
Yeah, they love the
they,
polls.
yeah, their eyes are glued to polls and they change whatever just based on polls. But like, fucking, I don't know, man. Polls are not that, like you shouldn't use them as like,
Metrics.
you like, you should use them as one of the metrics, but you shouldn't use that as like the metric, right?
Oh, I
I mean,
see.
like
Yeah, yeah,
polls spectacularly failed Hillary Clinton in 2016. Like,
yeah. True.
it was so off that it was for any other normal metric, you would have just put it into the trash as some kind of credible measurement of anything. But like with him,
Yeah.
it fucking yo-yos all over
But
the
this,
place.
but because of the yo-yo, he's yo-yoing, right? Because like he was saying that he was gonna do less press conferences, and then when his numbers went down, he said, "Oh, I need to do more," or like
Oh
he
yeah.
uncanceled one of his press conferences.
Well, that's what a populist leader does all the time, right? He goes with the trend, like fucking
Oh, I
will.
see.
Like he just says stuff, he does stuff that will please his audience enough, that will give him enough of the
So
bread
he'll
he
say
circuses.
something, see how the ratings are, and then he'll either double down or say, "I didn't say that."
Yeah, his strength is he doesn't give a shit about that stuff. Like, like fucking if you think about George W. Bush's dad, Herbert Walker Bush, the first Bush president. Basically, he just said, read, on national television, read my lips, there will be no raise in taxes. And then when he raised taxes, and then people fucking skewered him in the media, I was like, why'd you raise it? So he completely just spaghettied and lost, and then he lost his next election, right? But you look at
Hmm.
Trump every day, he can just say the same shit. He can say shit that, and reverse it the next day. And they
I
try to
would love.
skewer him on it, and he's just like, yeah, well, fuck you. And he just walks
I
off.
just.
And that's his power, because that's his Teflon Don power. They can't skewer him on anything. So
That's
he can
true.
say whatever, says completely something different the next day. He's like, oh, but you said this the other day. No, fuck you. It just leaves. I
It's
didn't say
almost like a
it.
superpower.
It is. It's his
It is.
presidential
It is
superpower.
true. It is true. Because like I love when he's like, but you said we're gonna open on this day. I never said that day. It was just a beautiful day that I picked, and that's how he does.
Even when
Yeah,
there is proof, like it's recorded and everything, he just denies it, and
Oh,
exactly.
the
people just
truth is
shake it off.
that he's above the truth. He is. Word of God.
Exactly. And it's basically out of all the candidates, even the ones now, he's kind of the only one that can do that, because his whole mandate, his whole like reason for going in was basically he told his supporters, you still want the same political trash that that you keep on seeing. Why don't you get me in there, right? I'm something totally different, right? I'll fucking shake it up. So people like seeing that shit. They like seeing him just not give a shit, and then just rake reporters over the fucking coals and shit like that. There's no way you can get like Joe Biden to do that same thing, right? There's no fucking way. You can't even get Bernie Sanders to do it. Like they can't even really catch him in a lie. They'll try to skewer him in the media, right? And then it would fucking like he would be apologizing or stuff. He would try to explain himself, right? And that's nowhere near as effective as Trump just saying, "Oh, that's fake news." He just leaves.
I'm very interested to see how he'll do in the next polls, or not polls, but election, I should say.
Yeah, I want to see him. Actually, I'm very looking forward very much to the debates with Biden. That'll be a very good night.
Well, it's like so many of the United States populists show so much enthusiasm against Trump, but last time that happened too, and he still won. So
Yeah.
it's very strange to see, or it will be strange to see what will happen this time.
I think they've made their peace with it, most of the people, because I think at the end of the day, they would still rather see Trump rather than a person like Bernie or anyone that has a really big, underclass, working class, whatever following. Cause with Trump, at least you can say something stupid. You don't really have to do anything about it. All you can say is, well, yes, Mr. President, I completely agree with you. And then just go off and do your own shit, right? And, I think they've made their peace of that. So regardless of who it will be, I think if Trump wins again, they would find a way to enjoy it.
I mean, at this point, it's like so many people just accept Trump as president that's like, I hope they just don't already just give up on getting rid of him. I don't know. I don't know if things will change either way, but
No, I think the more dire thing would be, cause Trump is fucking hilarious. It's always a treat to watch him in public nowadays. But once he's gone, then, then you try to think about what would America look like going forward. And because they are because they're just toppling over, like, so fast. Each day it seems like they're just getting even more and more into the shit. They're gonna get more extreme in other ways, right? So, like Trump, you get maybe outrageous things. You get, fucking your Trumpisms every day that might piss a few people off, but he's not like a ideologically dangerous man. He's not like a fascist guy, right? So what people should be afraid of is what comes next after him, and what comes next after him if you get an ideologically coherently dangerous guy, then it's going to be a lot more concerning.
I don't know. He's really entertaining as a president, but I don't know if that's one of the factors that people should be voting for, and entertainment factor for a president.
They have no choice. Even after them, they're not going to really have that much of a choice either. Whoever they put up.
It's like what South Park said, right? Your vote is between a turd sandwich and a douche.
Yeah. You're just hoping that the douche won't be the next guy that brings your country into World War III, right? So
I wonder how much other changes, like he made quite a few radical changes, like pulling funding from so many global efforts that what else can he actually pull funding from? Well, they just go full on like Iron Curtain kind of thing.
He wants, like, the basis of Make America Great Again is something like that. It's like a retreat from a globalization of things. It's not like it's not even within his capability to completely close off all of the country and close off all of the, the global, trend. But there's a lot of things that he can do, but the basis of the foundation of, like, what's already set up, it's not like you can just have one president undo a lot of things, right? The way the country's heading, though, like the grand macro view of the country and the trend is heading towards some sort of big catastrophe, whether it would be like 50 years from now or even sooner. That entire thing, regardless of what one man can, it's heading towards something that's really much more grave. So even if Trump wasn't even if he wasn't president, I always maintain that if Hillary was president, we would already be looking at like the highest world tensions you can see right now, just because between America and its rivals in the rest of the world, just because America is collapsing in such a direction that they're going to leverage everything they can to try to reverse it, short of a revolution, right? So Without a revolution, the only what they can leverage whatever economic might they can instead of cooperating with the world, they would try to run, other countries in a sense of saying like out of business, or their biggest asset, as everybody knows, is their military, right? So if your country's collapsing, what do you have to lose if you don't, if by using your military to try to hang on to your place in the world, right? You get more desperate. Of course, you would turn to that option more. So even if Trump, even if Hillary was president, if Trump was president, if whoever was president, because the country's moving, it is going towards that point. Like, regardless of what Trump did, or regardless if you just got like a second Obama, they're moving that way unless they like completely revolutionize like most of the main things in society that they run on. They're going that way down, and it's either they go down in flames or they go down whimpering.
Or both. It seems like both.
Whimpering and on fire.
Yes.
What a somber.
But you're right. In a way, a lot of people have the same, like even the most hardcore veteran political pundits in the US, they will say what you're saying. And this is the mistake that they're making, that they think that as long as Donald Trump is out of office, things will be fine again. And that's the thing that's the thing that they're not seeing, and I think it's a pretty big mistake. And of course they're not going to be able to see it because they have this faith in whatever the fuck they've built around them in their country. They have this blind religious faith in that country, that they think once Donald Trump is gone, everything will be great again. No, why would any of this reverse, right? There's nothing.
It's kind of like when Trump was elected. It's not like things just suddenly changed for the worse or better. It's like even now you could just see like some gradual changes compared to then.
Yeah.
I don't think, well, if you're saying that people expect an immediate change, then that's definitely not going to happen.
No, I mean, like, what was it going to do? Like, have this, immigration problem, like the manufacturing problem and the jobs problem, like it was all a problem before Trump even got in office. And it's only going to get worse, regardless if he has another term or not, or if Hillary was in office, or if or if Biden wins. There's not going to be any meaningful change. And there can't be, right? Because they won't change the actual structure of it that would actually give a different outcome. It won't. Like, if your house is made out of cards, there's nothing you can do about it. If you blow on it, it's going to fall.
How far did they get with the whole wall with
Not very
Mexico?
far. They built some shit.
Yeah, like,
No,
did they really do anything? Didn't they like make a fence along part
they
of it or
made
something?
like basically camps along the sections where they would detain people, right? They did some stuff towards building some kind of barrier and having people there patrol it and having it manned. So it was more towards the direction of anti-immigration. It's not like they built the Great Wall of America, but they were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great Wall of America.
But I mean, fucking like, what else do they do? Like they're feeling the crisis of just their living standards just going down, and there's no way around it. Like the immigrants go there for a reason, right? And like people want to hire them. They could work for cheaper than the most of the regular workers, right? Like that's by design of their system. They're corporations, they're factories to hit that bottom line to continue production. A lot of them they need the cheaper labor, right? It's by design of their system that they need cheaper labor, ever cheapening labor, right? So, like, what can you do? Like, even if you build a wall, even you tell people to try to blame the immigrants, the that are crossing. Like it doesn't change anything, because your system always needs the fuel of cheaper labor, and not just, it doesn't stop at a certain price of, like, oh, what would you pay for labor? It always has to go down. There's always like a downward pressure on wages for them to continue to produce. So,
I mean, if anything, Mexico would be a better option. Well, just in a certain sense, because cheaper labor, generally you think of like Asia or India or something like that, but you'd have to like export so far. But Mexico's a lot closer. They could
they will always need, to the point where if you game it out and this went on for another 30 years, you'll get to the point where there's different immigrants from Latin America competing against each other for who can be the more cheaper immigrant labor going to America. That's like, it doesn't stop there. It will keep on trying to go on cheaper until you can somehow justify owning slaves again, right? Or you having fucking, or having just complete all the robots and shit do all the labor. But still, you're still gonna have to, even with automation, they still are going to try to bring down the cost of anything, the cost of all production, right? The capitalization cost.
Yeah, robots are essentially slaves.
And the thing is, if they keep on going to the system, they will, even still with robots, they will still have to think of some ways to keep on depressing the cost, the capitalization cost. Right? And it's going to keep on going down until crisis after crisis, it actually has to change, or else, unless you can get people to see how long can you keep on getting shit on until fucking you can't take it anymore. That's basically what they're banking on. And what they're banking on is, I'll be long dead, me as, the rich guy that benefits from all this, I'll be long dead before they fucking had enough and fucking overthrow the entire thing. So fuck it. Carpe diem. Seize the day right now, live the life, eat the fat. Whatever the fuck results from all of this is tomorrow's problem.
That just kind of brought up a random thought to me. Unrelated, but I remember in junior high I had this science teacher who I hated. But I remember one time he did say, oh, global warming won't be an issue for me because I'll be long dead before that becomes a big thing. And it took a huge surge. I don't know if he's still alive or not.
Guy?
I think
Last name starts with an A.
Yes, fairly old dude. He did not like me. I did not like him. I can't really remember his name now, but you might know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure.
But if it's the same guy, he was a very reactionary.
I know his. I don't know if I could say. I don't want to put a name out there.
Wait, he taught science and he didn't.
Yeah, he taught science and like outdoor ed and stuff like that.
That's.
Oh no, no, completely different.
Yeah, his name ended with something else, but he still was a older guy. But I don't know. I never liked him. He didn't like me either. So.
Oh wait, fucking. I think I know what you're talking about. He had a Dutch name, didn't he?
I don't really know what the origin is.
It was like
starts with an N. Last name starts with an N.
Yeah.
Wait, is it important to know?
It's like one of Van something. It's one of those Dutch names.
Let me try. I don't even know. I don't remember his first name.
I think I know what you're talking about.
There's something interesting I was thinking of is, Macau is like, they call it the second Las Vegas or the little Las Vegas.
Yes.
So is their goal was to steal the customers from Vegas, like the Chinese customers, I guess? Was that their goal? So that they were trying to tell people, because like in China, gambling's illegal.
Yeah.
But except in Macau, I guess.
Yeah.
Which Macau is in China, right?
Yeah.
Like they're landlocked in China.
Well,
anyway.
Yes, sort of. I think they're on the tip of whatever.
Right. So the majority, they're in China. But like, do they do a good job of detracting customers, people who would go to Vegas to gamble to just go to Macau?
Sure. It's a different clientele than, in a way, it's a kind of a different clientele than what you expect from, part of its clientele is different from the clientele in Vegas on the strip, right? On the strip, you get everybody that, like the weekend jet setters that want to go to Vegas for the weekend, and you can get fucking family that just goes over just to, fucking just to experience the strip and all the other things, right? Like Vegas itself is almost like a show town if you think about it, right?
Yeah, it's a entertainment.
The backbone
city.
is the gambling, is all the casinos and hotels and shit, but that supports a big show, like a very big, entertainment, city, right? Macau doesn't really have that entertainment part of it. It's a lot of it is just casino,
they don't.
right? Casino and high roller and high spending and stuff like that. They don't have the shows at like fucking MGM Grand. Well, like they'll have events like what you will, they'll have whatever events, but nothing like what Vegas attracts. Like every day you get like Penn and Teller have their own whatever show every day, right? Fucking Cirque du Soleil every day, puts on shows, right? Macau is more like for fucking casino gambling oriented sort of deal. Like fucking horse racing and all those other things. Like Macau is there for that part.
Yeah, because I was in Macau for a weekend. Yeah, I definitely noticed a lack of things to do other than going to the casino.
Yes.
Like you can get the Portuguese egg curry and like what's that? What they're known for the sandwich. It's like a pork cutlet sandwich, I guess.
Something like that. Yeah. Like it's not like if you think about it, well, they have a lot of similarities with Chinese cities where it's just like cuisine, right? Cuisine, landmarks, and it's just they have the added bonus of being a big casino town, right?
I find it funny, like Asian I'm thinking of Asian countries, but like countries that they say, gambling's forbidden. They have a weird way around it. Like in Korea, it's funny because like gambling's forbidden for people who live in Korea, but like if you're a foreigner, you can gamble in Korea.
Yeah, it's like one of those as long as it's off the books and you're not causing trouble, they turn the other eye. But like off the official line would always be like, this is legal. The state does not condone this sort of thing, right?
Like if you look at Japan, it's like that too. Like gambling is illegal, but pachinko is kind of weird because pachinko it's gambling in the sense that you buy little steel balls to put in the machine to win more steel balls, and you take that steel ball to the next door to exchange that steel ball for like a coupon or a voucher. And you take that voucher to the next store to buy stuff, whether it's like groceries or toys or potentially money.
Yeah, and the cops, the authorities, they all know about it, and it's this sort of weird equilibrium where, as long as they are not getting out of hand, they just like live and let live. And Japan, you can especially
it's just a loophole.
It's
a weird loophole.
Japan, especially, they kind of live with that because the authorities and that relationship too, right? Like as long as the Yakuza they keep their fucking activities to themselves and shit. The authorities don't usually go after them or whatnot. And then the Yakuza's also on the Yakuza side, they try to get into a lot of legit businesses and shit. They try to get into
like May cafes.
Well, like they own most of the pachinko machines and like all those fucking places, right?
Really? I didn't know
they let them get in on real estate fucking deals and construction and right. Yakuza firms, they can become like they can register as a firm, right? I think one of the largest Yakuza crime families in Japan has their own registration.
They have like a company name, like Limited Ltd kind of.
I think so.
They're a registered Yakuza.
Yeah,
they run a lot of legit stuff. So
yeah. Like you think about, you think about, in the States when the mafia went out of control, they cracked down. They had RICO and they fucking clamped down and basically crippled them. Right? The mafia in their prime. The mafia in their prime back then in the 70s, they basically owned a whole bunch of shit. They owned a lot of the stuff in Vegas and right? They had a lot of fucking casinos and shit in Cuba, right? And that was one of the reasons why fucking Castro had so much popularity to overthrow everybody, Batista and all the mafia guys that owned all the casinos and hotels and everything. So they had a lot of influence, but the U.S. cracked down on them. Well, in Japan, I guess they sort of struck kind of like a tacit deal with them, where it's like, like you keep your activities to a minimum, you don't cause trouble, you don't cause grief to society and whatnot, and we let you exist and run businesses, and you can even, like fucking invest in legal business and shit too.
Yeah, and so the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm thinking of like esports. Like, if you look at Korea, esports really became popular, right? Like StarCraft 2 and StarCraft or like Tekken, things like that. But if you look at Japan, esports, like professional gaming, doesn't take off. And I think a big a thing that holds them back is the gambling aspect, because they can't hold tournaments that give prize money, like a significant amount, because it falls under that gambling. And so it's really hard to become a pro gamer in Japan compared to Korea.
You can't get prize money, but you can.
Yeah, is that true?
Like, you can't get prize money over a certain amount. Like, that's the big challenge in Japan.
I don't know, because don't they still hold like big like fighting events, and that's involves a lot of prize.
A lot of them are free.
No,
like Evo Japan is free in Japan to enter.
Okay, but no, because, I mean, like, I don't. Is it really just? I don't think it's just because
for example, the prize money they can give can only be a maximum of 20 times more than the entry fee. So if the entry fee is $10, you can only give them like $1,000.
I don't know, man.
Or $2,000.
I'd have to look into it more, because like they have those big fight fucking events in Japan where they give out big prize money as well, right? Like UFC, you're
talking about like Ultimate Fighting kind of thing?
Yeah, they have, so I don't know.
I don't know if it falls under sports or gambling.
But
well, where do you draw the line then? Because I find that as sports, and like any sporting event, any tournament of any sort, that would fall under the same thing then.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if prize money is really the problem here.
What I'm saying is, in Japan, you don't see esports as popular as in Korea, and I think my suspicion is has to do with the gambling law.
The gambling law, but wouldn't Korea would have an even more stricter gambling law than Japan does?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know from
Korea, so I don't know.
I just know from the interview I watched was they were talking to the guy who does Evo. Evo is a fighting game, Super Bowl kind of organization. And they host one in Japan, and they said that it was a nightmare, because hosting in Japan, they have all these rules and loopholes they had to follow. And so one of their things that they did is they, in order to give good prize money, they had to make the event free, so that they weren't under the restriction of the gambling law. Because if they were to have any entry fee, suddenly they had to follow these gambling issues or these laws.
But that falls under gambling, though. How does an entry fee count as gambling?
That's a good question.
You're not really betting on anything. You're paying to see a show.
Well, you're paying to compete, and in a sense, you're kind of gambling your money to win more money.
Oh, okay, well, but no, like you're paying to participate.
Yeah, you're paying to participate, but by winning, you do get a payout.
Yeah, but paying to participate doesn't mean like you're gambling.
But maybe that's how laws are, right? Laws are trying to prevent things that may look like something that isn't something. Kind of.
I just don't think it's I don't think it's the law of the gambling laws that are just keeping esports down in Japan. That's what I think.
Okay. What do you think? Maybe the reason.
I don't. If I do have a guess, it's gonna be just fucking completely a shot in the dark. But it's just, I don't think. I just don't think it's, for some reason, they probably it's not as popular as maybe the games that they liked and they are interested in watching, like fucking, it's just not as popular as in Korea, where everybody, like fucking has an interest to tune in and watch fucking competitive gaming. Maybe in Japan, it's more of a much smaller crowd that's more interested in competitive gaming.
Because
And
if you look at their neighboring countries, like a lot of their neighboring countries are into professional gaming, right? Like China's big, like they play a lot of professional games.
yeah,
Uh,
the thing is, like, I would compare it with Korea because similarly
mhm.
in countryside, you can make almost an apples to apples comparison, right?
Yeah,
Like similar
right.
population, similar kind of, a very similar population, a sort of a similar mentality, a similar,
Even similar
um,
grammar. Their language is similar
yeah,
in a
more or
sense.
less. China with like 1.4 billion people, you even just get like fucking 5% of that people interested in something that's already more than, that's hard, that's already more than like the population of Korea, right? So like,
That's why a lot of people who have business idea go to China because all you need is like 1% and
yeah.
you're
So I mean,
you're
like
making bank.
in China, it'd be easy for a lot of things to kind of take off. Like even because all you need is a proportion, just a percentage of the population to be interested, and you can make bank off of it, right? For Korea, like pretty much the entire country, a very sizable population at least is very hardcore into esports.
Yeah,
Well, like competitive, like certain genres of games.
it's funny. Like if you look at Korea, the things they bank on is like entertainment, right? Like if you think of like K-pop
Yeah.
and
Well,
makeup
Well,
and gaming.
that one is a straight. Yeah, that's a straight traceable line because that was like a government policy which is basically they're going to export Korean entertainment culture as much as they can. It had a lot of even state support to kind of get it moving. So then K-pop had a big like backer to try
It's a weird
to
thing to think about K-pop as an export. Like, what's your main export in South Korea? K-pop.
yeah, well, it became
File
a
it
big
under
thing, right?
entertainment.
It is a big thing, and that was it wasn't like a part of it is they had this big national push to make this a big thing too. And I don't know, but like, do you still get a lot of esports competition in Japan? Don't they? They host a bunch of shit too, don't they?
A lot of free ones. Like they,
Like
but I'm just saying
they got a lot of like famous like Street Fighter players and shit, don't they?
they do have them, but what I'm saying is they're often free. Like they're just events that people gather to play, but but they're not as good or as big as the ones in Europe or US. Like US and Europe, they have prize money and payouts. In Japan, they don't.
From what I'm
Oh, you
reading,
cut off
it's
there for a second.
there's a prize cap in Japan.
Yep,
So,
there's a prize cap as
but it's saying that sponsors can put up money for tournaments and stuff like that. But
It's weird. Like even
yeah,
the
it's
Japanese players that are pro, in order to win prize money, they have to be licensed in Japan. So there was a player named Momochi who didn't get licensed and he won and they couldn't give him the prize money because he wasn't licensed. And they just gave him uh like prizes as a sport, which was like a fraction of what he won. Really. Kind of sad for him, to be honest. And he's married, so he could use the money.
Be right back.
yeah. I'm reading a thing from Kotaku that
Kotaku.
yeah, it's just an article of that's titled "What Prevents Esports from Taking Off in Japan." I
Oh,
skimmed it
that's
real
exactly what we're
quickly.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I skimmed it, but it's just saying like there's a prize cap, but sponsors can put up more money and
Yeah, so
everything.
I think it is a money issue because if you can't inject money, it's hard to push things. Like Europe, Counter-Strike is huge in there, right? Like they definitely support their players, and I think in North America, there's a lot of push. Like even Iran, Tekken is huge. Is it Iran or Iraq? I think it's
When was the
or
last time the
Afghanistan.
Tekken game came out?
Tekken 7 is the recent one, and it's really popular at the moment.
Speaking of
It's
Tekken, I
I was
heard from
never
our
a fan.
friend. I heard from our friend that there's the top
Pakistan.
players the top players in Tekken are from Pakistan right now.
Well, it's one player, and he's the top. But but like, if you were to talk about collective, Korea is probably really strong as well.
in Tekken and fighting games.
Tekken, yeah. Oh yeah, Korea has a TV televised Tekken
Oh yeah.
channel. Yeah,
I was never a
Tekken's
big
really
fan
big in
of
Korea.
fighting games. Closest one is Street Fighter for me, but I
Well,
just find it
fighting
boring.
game is interesting in the sense that like it's not as intuitive, right? Because for one, most people don't know how to fight in real life. So when you play a fighting game,
Most people can't command armies and shit in real life either. It's not like you can have a real life StarCraft.
I feel like you could command army as a kid. You just have your toys. You're like, oh hey, do this, do that, right?
Well, you can fight as a kid too. You just fucking start fucking punching your mattress and shit.
Yeah, and that's how people play fighting games when they first start. They just wail at the buttons like they're just swinging their arms. And I think if you're a kid commanding an army, you would just select everyone and attack move, right?
I feel like there should be a
This
full
is
disclaimer right now that Bryan loves playing fighting games. And
this
he
is
has
like where
unspoken shit.
the thoughts from like all these like, for lack of a better word, boomers come up with the idea that, you know, fighting or games in general leads to violence in kids and stuff. This is where it stems from, this kind of mentality.
Don't you know Hitler was a big fan of fighting games?
Yeah, he
It's like-
was.
Playing like freaking Cooking Mama or something doesn't make you a good cook.
Yeah, no shit, right? Like,
And well, actually, if you're thinking about games, isn't chess a war game? Like, isn't the best chess player in the back in the day?
of course,
general?
but you know what? You don't even have to go that far. You know, Hitler fucking liked to paint. So therefore, all the painters will turn out to be genocidal, mass murdering dictators, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, full disclaimer: Bryan loves fighting games.
I do enjoy them.
yeah.
I played them as a kid.
I recall you did have a freaking, what do you call that? The controller with
A
the
stick.
It's
joystick.
called a
Yeah.
fight stick. A fight stick.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Is yours a custom one that you kind of tinker?
No, I just bought it as stock and just play with it.
Damn, because we have friends that fucking tamper and kind of like customize
Yeah.
their sticks.
I mean, it's kind of like a clutch for a car. It's like a very,
Yeah.
it's just like your
Shift.
weapon.
No, it's
It's
kind
your
of like
stick shift.
it is. It's kind of like those people that like mod out their cars. They said we
Yeah.
got our buddies mod out their sticks and shit.
Yeah, they put their own custom artwork.
Yeah.
They have these buttons. They can flash. Some
They
people,
customize the buttons and the feedback from the buttons.
yeah, some people like silent buttons so that you can't hear the sound they're pressing, so you can't tell if they're like going crazy. And some people, it's everyone has different what do you call it?
They're
Preferences.
real authentic.
Well, good for them. I don't have anything like that.
Well, like if you look at PC gamers, it's the same thing, right? They have mechanical keyboards, they have precision mices, they have certain headsets.
Yeah. That's true.
Like if
I
you look
don't
at
have anything that's set for like anything gaming. Like I have a mechanical keyboard and a nice mouse, but that's for
well,
general
like how about your
use
mouse
too.
pad? Your mouse has
My
probably
mouse
really
pad's
nice.
crap. I don't want to.
Oh, really?
My mouse pad is one from work from like
Do you
5
still use
years
the
ago.
one with the mouse pad with the ball? Remember, or if you remember mouse?
Oh, you mean the
is it
mouse
still the
itself?
ball? Yeah, the mouse.
I thought you were saying mouse pad. My
Oh, sorry,
mouse
sorry.
isn't a freaking ball mouse.
That one is gone. You can't get ball mouse.
Yeah, people won't know what you're talking about if you ball in the mouse.
I remember in elementary when after computer class, people would steal those balls. So then at the end of computer class, you would have to flip your mouse upside down to show that the ball's still in there.
Why
Really?
would your
Wow.
ghetto ass school steal
What
the
the
mouse
hell?
ball?
I don't know of anyone that took a freaking ball from a mouse. I remember they were hefty though. They're kind of cool.
They're heavy, yeah, they're hefty.
What would they take it for though?
For kids, I don't
See,
know.
at
I didn't take them.
At Bryan's school, mouse balls were like the currency that went around.
This is why Bryan had to play fighting games growing up. He was in a tough neighborhood where they steal mouse balls.
Don't fuck with me, man. I'm really good Ken player.
The toughest kids have like a it's essentially a ball sack. It's just a sack of mouse balls. Oh god.
This is
Actually, I kind of enjoy our talk about these like old artifacts that we're talking about.
the artifacts. Yeah, it's every so often when I think about this, or even when I'm talking to some of his younger cousins, There have been some conversations where like I describe something and then they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I think about it like, oh yeah, there would be no way you would know that.
Probably
Like,
didn't live in a world without internet.
yeah, and yeah, they wouldn't know. They're like, I never had this talk myself, but I remember someone was talking about like that sound that the 56K internet modem made.
The dial-up modem make?
The dial-up ones, right? Like
Yeah.
as it connected through the phone line. And back then you can buy internet connection from the public library too, right? Cause it was just so weird. And then people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what? How would it go through the phone line? And
there's still internet that goes through the phone line.
Yeah, but the thing is they never experience like the dial-up, the dial-up sounds and shit too. So like you hear that, you're like, oh yeah, that, and then someone else hears that, and the younger person they'll hear that and they'll, what the fuck is that noise? What's like screaming?
They probably didn't even have computers where you actually had to open something, like launch something to start up the internet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, how about like that song "Payphone" by Maroon 5? Do they even know what a payphone is? Like,
yeah, but I don't know.
Like a booth where you actually go inside and put.
They're probably just picturing like some sort of cell phone.
Yeah, it's like
phone relevant.
Yeah, they think like, oh, can you go in there and like charge your phone? Well, is that the deal?
He's like, yeah, you're on a cell phone that you have to pay as you go. Like you have to buy minutes.
Yeah,
That's still a thing.
Yeah, you would get like, I bet you'd get like a kid that would see like a World War II real film and they'll be like, what's that box with the phone inside of it? What is that?
Yes, well, actually, you don't even changing those anymore.
Well, they would think it's like a Superman transformation, right? Because that's probably the only reference
that would confuse the fuck out of them. They'd be like,
I don't even think some of the kids these days would get that reference. Cause when was the last time you saw Superman change in a phone booth?
Yeah, if you see the old school Superman changing, they'd be like, what is that? Is that just like a change room on the street?
Yeah, they'll think that's what it's for.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you just buy some clothes. Oh, you could change that. Walk into a phone booth.
He'd be one of those, actually, did you know that you, actually, this is with us right now. You'd be like, actually, did you know back then they had to go to the movie theater to watch news?
Actually, think about like phone cases. When I was thinking of phone cases, back then phones were so big, you would carry them in briefcases.
Yes.
That's the original phone case. They were so big, it was a briefcase.
Oh man,
it's true in a weird way.
Yeah. Oh man, and we're probably gonna go back to smaller and smaller phones, but ones that flip out to make big screens again. I think
I don't know if that'll become big. That started being implemented, but it's still more of a fad.
I think it's possible if that becomes much more like reliable and shit. So I think
foldable phones or like double screens or bigger screens. I don't know if they're really working, to be honest. I feel like the tried and true candy bar is still fascinating.
No.
Yeah, right now they're not worth it.
The first couple generations, yeah, it's not, because even then when they only have a certain amount of folds before it gets like fucking deformed and shit, right?
Yeah, the hinge is one of the biggest problems with those right now.
Eventually you're gonna get something where it's like it's gonna be like a very small device, maybe the size of the tip of your finger, and then you just push something and then some fucking screen will come
out. Why can't they just start making
it's gotta be like a hologram then.
Like a hologram? Yeah. Probably like a hologram or even just a fucking screen just kind of folds out.
Well, see, here's the thing. You think of hologram, but like I think we should go Black Mirror route where you could just see your phone screen in your eye. Like only you can see.
Yeah, just have a HUD for yourself.
Yeah, like it's a HUD in your brain where you see it in your
That's what the Google Glass initial idea was.
Yeah, it's like Google Glass. But without wearing the glasses, where like they just implant it in your brain.
The thing is like that part.
Like
that part where they got it implanted into you. I don't think people want to do that yet. I think we're far away from that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because think of like getting upgrades and stuff where you take the implant out and put another one in.
Can you imagine? You're like, oh shit, I have an update. I have to find a room and just take a nap.
Yeah.
That would be the best way for that.
What if you're doing something and then an update comes and you're like an Olympic skier and you're like, well, what the fuck? And then you're like,
what do you do? What do you go blind? Are you saying it
Yeah,
takes
what
over your
happens-
eye?
You get a notification where like there's an update and it pops right in front of you. You can't see anything.
What if you get ads? That'd be
What if
brutal.
someone hacks your eye?
Yeah.
Start showing
Just-
kids.
Right in the middle of your eye.
Yeah, this is why I'd rather have like a Google Glass situation rather it in my eye. Or brain.
Yeah, because even when you close it, it's still on.
That's what you think now. Imagine now that when you become 90 and cybernetic fucking rage, and then
Dude,
your
if I'm
grandson.
90, which I don't think I'll ever live to 90, but if I do, then whatever. At that point, I don't care.
Your
Like,
grandson is just like embarrassed because his grandfather won't get cybernetic implants.
I wish cybernetic implants was a thing now. Maybe just not for like implanting something God damn it! Why? I think this is the second time I've had that problem saying this word. But having issues with someone implanting malware into my eye or anything like that.
Yeah, and then people will be like viruses will have a new name. Like they'll be like, "What's a biological virus?" So they just think virus as a computer virus. And coronavirus, they would think it's a software.
Yeah, how did it mess with the? Yeah, how did it mess with the system?
Yeah, what this COVID.
That'd be pretty cool though. For like, you could get infected with this kind of malware through like even food or beverages that you consume, and it just goes into your implants.
Oh my god! Oh
There's
my
an idea
god.
for a show or something. Can we
Yeah.
copyright this or like coin it? Well, I guess it's not phrase.
Yeah, if one of our fucking audience members are the guy that deals with IP.
Oh man, can you imagine like 2 years from now, if there's a movie that comes out and you're like, "Hey, isn't that what we talked?" And then we
Everyone
find out
remember
like
this moment.
there's like Aaron Sorkin is one of the audience or like a big movie name guy
fucking-
listens to us.
I hate Sorkin, man. He would
You
do
hate Sorkin?
something like that. He would do something like that. I can see him doing that, something like that.
Why do you hate Sorkin? I love his movies. Really like.
Cause I think he's just a guy that would steal our ideas and pass it off as his own.
Oh yeah, well, but he'll make us sound so much cooler. We would be like talking like so sophisticated.
I don't
He's not
know.
gonna give us credit.
No, he won't. But we can tell from like the movie, like which one of his which character is that based
Yeah,
on the dialogue.
yeah, and I would hate him for it. Anyways, what you guys got anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Sharpies. I could talk about Sharpies for a bit.
Oh, this sounds like a juicy one.
I feel like you could just say a random noun and Bryan will have some sort of discussion on it.
This is his dessert. This is why I always give him the offer of saying, bringing
Like,
up something he wants
He's
to talk
not even
about.
done with his like tumbleweed topic. It's ridiculous.
One of these days, on his birthday, I guess we can entertain the talk again.
It's gonna last like the full, like what, 2 hours or whatever. It'll be a
Well,
part
it
1,
is-
part 2 situation.
You don't think it's a problem now, but they're really invasive weed and they travel, man.
Yo,
Alright, let's go to Sharpies instead.
It's not your birthday yet, asshole.
All right, so Sharpies, you know, the brand Sharpie is actually the king of, I guess, black markers or Sharpies, as we know
What?
them.
What?
Yeah, they're like
Yes,
like the best.
okay.
Because they last really long for the size of it, like compared to a lot of other Sharpies or a lot of black marker pens. And they have this the design that they make on like a new tip. So when you open a new Sharpie, it's pointy, right?
Mhm.
And the reason for that is because you have a smaller point, so it distributes less ink. But as you use a Sharpie, it becomes more dull, so it becomes more flat and wider. And it's smart because as you use the ink, it runs out. So the wider one, because it's a bigger surface, will inject more ink. So therefore, throughout the lifetime of this Sharpie, your ink usage is consistent.
Okay.
Fuck.
Was anyone disputing this before or something?
No, I'm not. I'm just sharing this fact. It was like, oh, that's so amazing. Like the engineering design of this Sharpie is amazing. And
Are we sponsored by Sharpie and I just don't know it? Did you do that ad thing and you actually got Sharpie to sponsor us, but you're not telling us so you can keep all the money?
keep all the proceeds to me.
Yes. From now on, at any type of fan signings or anything that we do, we'll just use Sharpies.
Yeah, totally.
I can't believe he's doing this for fucking free.
Someone send this to Sharpie. Let them know we're doing them sponsored content.
My God.
I'm just saying, if we were to review something, Sharpie product, I would recommend people to use.
Okay. But as a discussion, what do you want us to say to that?
We're not going to dispute Sharpies being good. As far as markers go, I think I only have Sharpies.
Yeah, I feel like they dominate the market.
Yes?
They definitely have a good name. You know?
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of girls on the internet where they put them in their butt too, so there's that.
What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What did they do with that?
They just take a picture with a Sharpie in their butt.
That's not the worst thing that they've done.
Oh, definitely not. That's tame compared to things on the internet.
Oh,
I'm just saying that's a thing.
On gaming news, there was this girl named Alinity. I don't know. Have you heard the recent story about her?
Which one is this?
She had like a nip slip, and a lot of people were calling her to be banned from Twitch because it's against the policy. But she's like a big name in Twitch, so she wasn't banned initially. And then
Like banned for how long?
a couple of days, but she wasn't banned at all for the nip slip. And then it took a while, but then she made it sound like, I'm gonna leave for a bit because I feel like it's more fair if I got banned. And then after she made that announcement, then she got banned. But it seemed like it took a while before she even got kind of interesting.
2 days is
Not
nothing
really.
though. Like what the hell?
Yeah, a couple of days, like three days, or maybe a week. I don't know. It is nothing for her, anyways.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's like not even news. I thought you were gonna say when you're bringing up like gaming news, I'm like, oh, maybe Asassins Creed. The next one was announced, so maybe that's it. Or
where's it gonna be?
Assassin's Creed?
Where's it gonna be?
Where's it gonna be?
it's called Valhalla. So it's gonna be Vikings.
Oh,
Vikings.
that sounds great.
The actual world premiere will be tomorrow morning.
But isn't
for our listeners, that would be April 30th. So this podcast may come out after that, but yeah, that's gonna be announced.
But do they have like historic documentation of Valhalla? Like or fictional?
Well, it's called Valhalla, but I am pretty sure the actual location will be somewhere in real life.
It'll be in Scandinavia or something.
Yeah.
Raiding England and whatnot. It's just follow the Viking show.
Is the story still about the past? Like, do they still travel the past?
Yep. I've played a fair amount of the last one, Odyssey, which, that's going into the whole Spartans and stuff like that.
Yeah, Homer.
And it's still a thing where it's like the main person is somewhere in whatever current times or whatever, and they just kind of mind meld into the past or whatever the hell it's called.
Because in the game, you're in the future, right?
Yeah.
So why don't they make one where you're in the present, like our present, Trump, like you're a New Yorkan fighting the coronavirus.
I bet you, like, let's put this down on record too, as they're gonna take this idea too.
The next Assassin's Creed is going to be set in the present, and then you're a future guy mind melding with someone in the present time.
Or they'll go like you're someone in the past, and you have like these visions of the future, and it'll be that. They'll go backwards.
Oh, what is this contraption? Oh, it's a magic loom. It allows you to mind meld someone that is in...
Yeah, they're making a tapestry of the future, and then, something happens to it. And then the sequel to that will be them trying to find that tapestry. Oh my god.
Forward.
We could make so much money if we sold this all to freaking Ubisoft or whatever.
Ubisoft, yeah.
No, what about this? Assassin's Creed game, but it's set in the present, and you mind meld into nothing, into the present. It's just the present.
Like into the same person you're melding into?
Yeah. It's not even a difference in time. It's just the exact same time.
When you die in Assassin's Creed games, it's like, desynchronized or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you're desynchronized with yourself.
Yep. It's just gonna be like, fucking GTA or something.
Unlike hardcore mode, if you die, you just lose everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
you mentioned last cast you bought Final Fantasy VII. Did you finish it?
I haven't finished it yet. No.
Oh, okay. Have you gone? How far are you?
Spoiler alert, I guess. But I reached the point. If you remember from the original game, there's the cross-dressing part.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm basically just a little bit past that.
Oh, okay. Did the guy choose you, or did he choose someone?
It basically, I think it's just scripted that. Actually, I'm not sure if it's scripted, but he chose me or chose Cloud.
Because I remember, like, in the game, the minimum of him choosing, like, you had to get everything to have him choose you. So,
Yeah,
like, if you just get the minimum, like the wig, he would always choose, like, one of the girls, like Tifa or Eris. But
yeah.
I guess
In
in
this
the
game,
new
it's
one,
more singular kind of thing because there's only one mission type thing to actually get your items, which is kind of like a mini game type of thing,
right?
where it's like a rhythm game. But I did perfect in that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like DDR. You just press the button as it's timed out to whatever.
Yeah.
And
It's a quick time event.
yeah. And yeah, your clothing is kind of based on how well you do in that.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
So you
did
don't
the
collect
best
it.
possible thing in
You
that.
don't collect it like in the old game where you have to find the items.
Yeah, no, it's not like that.
How is the game? Like, do you like it? Do you think it's better
Yeah,
than the original?
um, I don't know about better than the original because I really like the original. It was like um, one of my,
Great.
I don't know, main
Greatest of
games
all
growing up.
time.
Yeah, well,
Nostalgic.
iconic games. Yeah. But it is really good. I like this one a lot. They've added a lot of content to it, which, strangely enough, I've heard people saying that's one of the bad things about the game, but
I think it's the bloatware that people complain about, or conceived bloatware.
I think it's kind of stupid because what do you want? An exact one-to-one game from the past just remade? Because I like having new content, or else
Yeah,
it's like I know everything that's going to happen, and it's like it doesn't feel as new.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They
But yeah, so
definitely.
I like all the new content and everything. I have no issues with it. My only complaint about the game is sometimes the camera angles are messed up because it's
Oh,
fairly fast action if you play
yeah.
with their new battle system, and
But
the
I heard
camera
it's
can be a
not
bit
like a
slow.
dodgy one. Like you have to. It's like guard and attack, right? Is dodging a viable option in that game?
Yeah, you could dodge.
And then, like, how do you play around the character? Like, are you one? Are you always cloud? Do you
You could switch.
round?
You could
Okay,
press left or right on the D-pad, and it'll switch to one of your other party members.
okay.
And
And
yeah, they all have kind of different fighting styles and stuff, which is cool.
oh, okay. That's really sweet. So then they're because that's the issue with the old Final Fantasy. Every character was kind of interchangeable with any other character. Like no one really stood out other than how they look. But stats wise, and a lot of that are the same because they're like it's all based on material, less about the character.
Yeah, I mean there are like your limit breaks and abilities like that are different. This game kind of emphasizes that a bit more,
Hmm.
where different characters have different abilities just unique to them, which makes the playstyle different.
Who's your favorite?
I still mainly play as Cloud. That's kind of your default. But playing as like Tifa's pretty fun too because her fighting style is it's kind of quicker and you use the abilities in a bit of a different way. But yeah, it's fun.
All
Are
right.
you actually gonna play it at some point?
No, I don't think so. I'm not a. I don't play RPG. I think
Oh.
there's an issue I have which is choices, and I feel like in RPG you have that tree branch where you make a choice and it branches and you have to collect items and stuff, like strongest weapon and stuff like that. And I always find that it stresses me out when I don't have the best items.
uh,
And like so, like when I play an RPG, I spend more time reading into how the game's gonna flow and figure out all the things I'm gonna pick. And then by the time I figure all that, I lost the interest of playing the video game.
okay then.
So RPGs I really have trouble. I can't finish them. Like my attention span for them, I usually lose interest before I can finish. That's the issue. My favorite one so far for RPG was Final Fantasy 13, or the first half, because it was super linear. There was never a wrong choice I could make because there's only one direction. It was just going forward. But then the game deviated from that and became open world. At that point, I was like, oh, this game sucks now. Too many choices.
Sucked.
I didn't know where to go. I was just so annoyed.
No, that game sucked altogether. That was a terrible game.
Best RPG is
even the fighting and stuff.
Corridor.
You didn't have to do anything in that game.
That's true. The fighting you didn't. It's not as like, but you can tell like how far they came with Final Fantasy VII Remake versus like Final Fantasy 13, like where they created the battle system, right? Like the whole staggering system. They kind of brought it forward to every other generation. Past 13, right?
But 13,
so it's kind of
that just sucked.
Yeah, but I don't know. Seems like a lot of people like it because it's on Louis Vuitton's web store, physical store.
What's
where
Louis
Lightning.
Vuitton?
Yeah.
Oh,
Louis Vuitton
okay.
and Lightning. They're like
That's kind of weird.
they go. Yeah, it's weird, but they market themselves as Louis Vuittons.
How many girls would be interested? Like the Venn diagram of people that would play Final Fantasy 13 and that would buy Louis Vuitton stuff. I think that
the overlap would be minuscule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, minuscule. They'll be like, "Oh, who's this pink-haired chick?"
It's a strange choice.
Yeah, it is strange. But that's when I go to Louis Vuitton. Well, I don't go there. Sometimes I'll see Lightning there.
His freaking closet has like a bunch of all the Louis Vuitton Final Fantasy 13 stuff.
But yeah, that's my issue with RPG. To me, like there's a game I really like, or I thought I would like. It's God of War, the newest one.
Yeah.
But then there's too many RPG elements. There's like you have to buy armor, or you have armor and weapons. You have to upgrade.
It's so
I'm just
minimal, though. You could just.
Oh no, but there's too many. I like the original one where I had no choice.
The game is so
I didn't
fun
know that.
too. That's such a good game.
The game. Yeah, I thought the game was fun until the RPG elements in it.
What the fuck?
It detracted me from actually finishing it. I stopped finishing it. Just like, oh, this is too much.
Having options isn't usually something people complain about in games. Like in terms of armor and like equipment, I don't hear that often.
Well, it's funny because even in fighting games, I tend to pick characters with obvious flaws. So that they don't have too much option. Like I like ones that have like a very set of tools that they're very good at, but they lack a lot of set of tools.
You pick one that sucks if they get countered anyway. But as long as they have this one dimensional, you find enjoyment in it.
I love the one dimensional guy, or he has a one game plan. This is his game plan. And that's all he cares about.
Uh-huh.
And you get fucked and you're just like, yes, I love it. It feels so good.
I love the struggle.
I have no other recourse. I have no other options. This is the best.
So what if you keep getting owned by like the same technique against you? Doesn't that frustrate you?
Probably bust him.
No, that's part of the fighting game mentality is you learn through just getting pummeled and getting destroyed. But you work for every character always have like they have the minimal tool set to get out of any situation. Like some are better or some situation like you just like sometimes the answer is you don't be in that situation. That's your answer. Like if your character can't handle that situation, you don't put yourself in that situation. Right. And if you're in that situation, it's like you're so.
Uh-huh. Okay.
This is some deep, hardcore psychological shit going on. I wonder if you just prefer that your car never even had a steering wheel.
Yeah.
There's so many options. Not even, that's still choice.
Like if my only option was like left, right, and up, but I can't go back. Like I only had those three, and I had to like figure a way to get back. But even in computer programming back then, like they never had plus signs. They only had negative signs. Like you couldn't like if you were to program something that is like 3 + 3, you would have to go 3 - -3. Like older languages. So yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Or I think there was like a calculator that can only add, and so if you had to do subtraction, you have to add past the number and then drop.
It sounds like you're going out of your way to find.
Yeah, that's
Never had that. Even when I had to do that shit programming course, I could still put the plus sign in the
yeah.
code.
I was trying to remember if I've ever done that.
Oh no, you have to do assembly language. Like if you're just doing it's only in electrical engineering that you have to do that language.
Oh
But there's a
god.
language called assembly language, which is like a very low or a very it's another level of language, I guess. It's not as intuitive.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, I think it's usually for like I don't know, like more like closer to them. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not a major science
You
major.
should have just started with this instead of the fucking Sharpie and that bullshit.
Wait, what's wrong? Sorry. I think our audience would need to know.
I think
What-
our
if they
audience
were to
would
pick up
way
on-
rather listen to this psychological fucking thing that's going on with you.
My issue
yeah,
with
but we
RPG
gotta
games.
promote Sharpies. I mean, they're the best markers out there, and if you want to
So you guys, it
Sharpies
sounds like
at
you
a
guys
discount,
finished.
use code verbal laxative. Nowhere, they won't give you a discount.
No, but it sounds like you guys both finished God of War or
Yeah.
God of War. Yeah,
The dad
Yeah.
of war.
I watched the
Single parent of
cutscene.
war.
I watched
The
the
god of
cutscene.
single
That was pretty
parent.
good.
I want them to just release the sequel game already. I want to kill more Norse gods.
Norse, yeah, I think the Norse gods are more interesting than the Greek gods.
Well, no, I think they're all interesting. I just want him to kill all the gods. I want Kratos to eventually go to India and then you get to fight
Yeah.
fucking like,
Freaking hundreds of them.
yeah, they fight the elephant god and everything. Like, that would be
good thing.
imagine that
What-
God of War game. Holy. You have to
You're
fight
playing
like
the elephant
Vishnu,
god?
You
you
got
have to
like
fight,
freaking
Ganesh.
10 freaking sequels just from that.
Yeah,
That would be the best.
they're endless. They're endless.
Ah, but they still haven't come out with that.
Nah,
All right.
it'll be quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the next time we record, they will announce something.
I really hope they
Okay.
take out the RPG element.
No.
From the next
no, I don't think they should.
It's like holding me back from actually enjoying it.
Why
It's
don't
okay.
you go on a route where you don't use any equipment then?
The thing is, like in God of War, you don't actually need all that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying,
know you don't.
yourself take that out of the equation. Just use the base equipment you start with, and that's it.
I just, it's annoying. I just like, hate those like little side missions that like you have to do to get the extra item. Oh man, I'm missing out. I also have phone. I might be missing out something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Don't go for it then. Just use the base equipment.
See,
The
and
ones
that's
that you
why I
start
like
with,
the.
you never
But he
do it.
feels like he's left out. He doesn't like it, but he doesn't want to not have it.
Yeah, exactly. I like them not giving me a choice that you're like, oh, you're never gonna get it.
Jesus.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think. Like, if you take away that choice yourself.
Oops, doesn't work that way. But anyways, I'm running out of battery, so we should.
Alright, man, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Off of this fascinating and weird fucking foray into his mind.
All right. If you want to find more about how Brian's brain works, tune in next time to Verbal Laxative.
We'll do
Thanks
a deep
for
dive,
listening.
just like that Jennifer Lopez movie.
I've never seen it, so I don't know what you're talking
Alright.
about. Yes. Thanks again for listening.
Alright, that's it.
See.
Bye.
Bye
guess.
bye.
Add
Bye
nothing
bye. Bye bye.